Hello everyone, today we talk about history. In the last session we talked as a small introduction. Today we will enter to the lesson immediately. Let us start. Here is the book. Firstly, I want to discuss to you a new thing I want to make. After we know this, there is the content. Here it is the content, I'm sorry. The content, the core content, and then we will know about the depth study. But about the content, we take this part one for the first, term. In my own opinion, that I want to make it as 3 terms. We will make 1 week for this, then we will complete the other, and for each one has its own direction. And this is for second term, this is for the third term. So let us start and go back to the lesson. Here, we start, this is about the core, the 20th century international relations since 1919. The internal war, this we discuss about it all. Also, this we discuss about it, but also we finish this. So today we start with the lesson itself. Let us start. 1 minute, I need to make it bigger so you can see it. 1 minute. 300, I will make it. Yes, now I hope that we will. Now we will hide the video panel so you can see it easily. Also, we will hide the floating disk meeting controls. Now, where the peace treaties of 1919-23 to 23 fair. The peace treaties from this time 1919 to 1923. So we have some focus point we should to focus on. What were the motives and the aims of the big 3 adversaries? Why did all the victors not get everything they wanted? What was the impact of the peace treaty on Germany up to 1923? Could the treaty be justified at the time? So let us know. However, long overall a war is eventually the opposing side must make peace. So war, the opposite side is the peace. There is a war and time there will be peace. Say that the World War I was from a time, it finished. So after that, there is a peace, then start a second World War, not World War I, then immediately the second World War. So, but because war is destructive and leave a better legacy, the peacemaking after a long conflict can be the hardest job of all. After the thing that happened from the war, after the First World War finished, there was many damage in the cities, destroying it. So this was the hardest job of all to make the peacemaking. So the people who had that role in 1919 have particularly hard task. So this people who joined to make that peace in 1919 had a hard task because the First World War were involved in the more country using more powerful weapons, causing greater casualties and physical destruction than any war before it. It makes many destroying and many things in the cities of this country, and also they use and using the more powerful weapons and also causing greater casualties and physical destruction than any war before it. It is many more powerful from any war that was before it. So the war had bankrupted some country. It led to revolution in other. There was bitterness and resentment. So in some country it was bankrupt, while in the others there was revolution. So there is bankrupt in some country, and in some there was revolution. So there was bitterness, and there was problems and resentment in this country, in every country. Also, in the post-war atmosphere, almost everyone agreed that the part of the job of the peacemaker was to avoid another war like it, but no one agreed how to do that. I mean, they want to, everyone agreed that the job of the peacemaker that to avoid this First World War had made many destroy the cities, the buildings, the farms, I mean everything, the homes of the people, everything it destroyed. The cities that has the First World War. Some cities don't apply to this or share it. But this was a hard job. This was the part of the job of the peacemaker, what to avoid another war. The war here, it is a war like it. Any war like it means they want to avoid any war like the First World War, but no one agreed how to do that. No one agreed how it is the way or how to make it there will no war again. So any treaty is balancing act. So the peacemaker have to keep the victor happy, but ensure that the defended country accept the term of the peace. Was it really possible to produce a treaty which all sides would have seen fair? That is the key question you will have to think about in this chapter. So the treaty is a balancing act. It is a balancing, like in mathematics, in equation, you need to balance two things. Here, treaty is a balancing act that the victor, the one who wins the war, should have a balance, and one who lose the war, who defeated countries. Also, defeated countries should what accept the term of this peace. So there is a key question for what we think today in our chapter. So this was the question is, was it really possible to produce a treaty which all sides would have seen as fair? We will look at this question in the chapter, but for now we should to complete reading this, because this will give us a small introduction for the chapter. We're going to investigate what happened when these peacemakers got together, draw up the peace treaty. So what we will look today, what we will see or look, that we know how this peacemaker got together to draw up the peace treaties. So what we'll focus today on, fourth important thing, what the peacemaker were hoping to achieve, what they want to achieve, what they want to make, so there were no war. How they war, what they war in this chapter mean, what they decided, what decide to keep the war, so to avoid the war. So why they decided? I mean, why they decide their reasons or their own idea. So now we will talk about it. Then you will reach conclusions about the key questions. How fair were the treaties they came up with, which mean thinking about what? I mean, in the conclusion of the lesson, we know two important things that was thinking about whether the people at that time thought the treaties were fair and why or why not. I mean, if the people think that it was fair or not fair, why or why not? I mean, if it is fair, why? If it is not fair, also why? The historian, with the benefit of hindsight, they think they were fair. Also, we know what the ideas of the historian, if this treaty was fair or not. So, and remember, that the peace process was not just about Germany. Between 1919 and 1923, the peacemakers drew up 4 treaties. They drew 4 treaties, one for each of the defeated powers. Also, in this chapter, you are going to focus most on the treaty which dealt with Germany, the Treaty of Versailles. So, more about that, we will consider on Germany, what happened in Germany in that time. So, the British cartoon was published in 1919, shortly after the term of the Treaty of Versailles had been announced. A German man is holding the treaty term, saying that Germany has to pay for the damage caused by the war. Does he think the treaty is fair? Why or why not? This is only some question, but we will now go straightly to start our new lesson. It's so important and let us complete. High hopes for peace. Looking back, it may seem that the peacemaker in 1919 had an impossible job. So in 1919, they see that the peacemaker have impossible, that it was not available that they will success in their work, but that is not how people saw it at the time. People saw it that it will be successful. There was great optimism. But one of the main reasons for these high hopes was the American President Woodrow Wilson. Also, one of these was the American President Woodrow Wilson. In 1918, Wilson made a speech outline 14 points. See fact 5. So 1918, the Woodrow Wilson, the American president, made 14 points. See fact 5, which were to be the guideline for a just and lasting peace treaty. For what? To end conflict. So when we arrived in Europe for the Paris Peace Conference, Wilson was seen almost as a saintly figure. He was seen as a saintly figure. Newspaper report described it that the soldier in Italy trying to kiss the hem of his cloak. So also the soldier in Italy tried to kiss his cloak. And in France, peasant families needing to pray as his train passed by. They also prayed to him as his train passed by. So now, before we go to the Wilson ideas, should to know the profile of Woodrow Wilson, the president of the USA. So background. Born in 1856, he was born in 1856, became a university professor. Also, he became a university professor first in politics in 1910. He first entered the politics in 1910. When he became the president in 1912 and was reelected in 1916. From 1914 to 1917, he concentrating on keeping the USA out of the war. He became the president when in 1912, and also the people re-elect him in 1916. But his important concentration is to keep the USA out of the war from 1914 to 1917. So when the USA had joined the war in 1917, he drew up the 14 points as the basis for ending the war fairly, so that future war could be avoided. So this future war was avoided and no war after that. There was a war, but I'm talking about 1917. Characteristics. The character, an idealist and a reformer. He was an idealist, had many important also ideas and was reformer. He reformed some ideas or other things. So as president, he had campaigned against corruption in politics and business. So as he is a president, I am sorry, he also campaigned against the corruption, the mistakes or the thing that happened in the politics and the business wrong. So however, he had a poor record with regard to the right of the African Americans. Also, he had a poor regard with the rights of the African Americans. He was obstinate. Once he made his mind up on an issue, he was almost impossible to shift. So if he mind up on an issue, he was almost impossible to shift from it. There was a problem. Okay, so and there is another. He will not shift to another until he will finish his problem. Now, after we know his characteristics and the profile of Woodrow Wilson, now let us take his ideas. I think today this one will be about the ideas of him only. So let us go back. Wilson's ideas. How did Wilson think that peacemaker could build a better and more peaceful world? What is idea that make that the peacemaker can build better and more peaceful world? Was for do not be too harsh on Germany, also strengthen democracy in defeated country, give self-determination to small countries that had once been part of the European Empire. Also, international cooperation. So do not be too harsh on Germany. Wilson did believe Germany could be punished, but he also believed that if Germany was treated harshly, someday it would recover and want revenge. So he thinks that Germany should be punished, but in the same time, he said in the future that maybe it will recover and revenge for what happened in the past. So he was also concerned that extremist group, especially communists, might expel the Germans. The sentiment, and communists might even seize power in Germany as they had in Russia in 1917. So also this can give the Germany power as happened in the Russia in 1917. Also, after we know that why the reasons about the harsh on Germany, the second thing is strengthen democracy in defeated countries. For Wilson, the key to peace in Europe was to strengthen democracy in the defeated nations, so that the people would not let their leader cause another war. So democracy that they will vote mean anything that the president wants. He can also the people can elected their president as also in in this defeated nations. So also, and they can also sometimes in some kind of democracy, there is that the people can, the president can put his own rules and ideas and rules. So the people also can elect it, which one he want, which the people wanted. So also we have a third point, what self-determination to small country that what had once been part of the European Empire. To give the determination, to be self-determination to what? To the small country to be part of the European Empire. He wanted the different people of Eastern Europe, for example, Poles, Czechs, and Slovaks to rule themselves rather than be part of Austria-Hungary's empire. He also wants to that the people in the Eastern Europe, like Poles, Czechs, and Slovaks, to what to rule themselves, rather than that the Austria-Hungary's empire to rule them. Mean that the Eastern Europe, he wants the Eastern Europe, the different people of Eastern Europe to rule all of themselves, not to be part of the empire of the Austria-Hungary, that they will rule them, that they rule them. What about the international cooperation? Wilson also believed that the nation could cooperate to achieve world peace. He also think and believed that when the nations of the world cooperate with themselves, they will achieve the world peace. So what this would be achieved through a League of Nations. What they will achieve through thing called League of Nations. We will learn it in the other lessons. Wilson want to believe this was most important of the 14 points. The important thing of the 14 points was the League of Nations. So you can see from these principles that Wilson was an idealist. However, he was not a politician who could be pushed around. So not a politician and have some ideas. For example, he refused to cancel the debt owed to the USA by Britain and it is a, so that he could put pressure on them to accept his ideas. So he don't refuse to cancel the debts owed to the USA by Britain and it is so that he what put pressure on them to accept that his ideas. There is a focus task. We didn't take it yet. This is cool. Now we are summarizing or see the fact 5, the 14 point, and also the Paris Peace Conference from 1919 to 1920. So the 14 points are 14. You know that. I am sorry, but the first, no secret treaties, no secrets, not the treaty will be secret between two countries and the other don't know about that. Free access to the seas in peacetime or wartime. That the access to the seas, that in a peacetime, when they are peace and or when they are in war. So free trade between countries. Trade between countries easily from one place to another. All countries to work toward this argument so they will not get war again and other things. So colonies to have to stay in their own future. Colonies, every country or colony will stay in its own future, what they want to their own future. German troops to leave Russia. The German troops, what make leave Russia? Independence for Belgium. Belgium should to independence for mean to leave any, so they can take their own country and conquer it as they want. Mean take the rules and say it, all of that from themselves. No need anyone to enter himself in their own internal issues. So France to regain Alsace-Lorraine. He also, France should to retain the Alsace-Lorraine. Frontier between Austria and Italy to be adjusted. The frontier between these two, Austria and Italy, should be adjusted between them. So also the self-determination, self-determination for the people of Eastern Europe, they should want to rule themselves. The Eastern Europe, like Shakespeare, they should to rule themselves and not be ruled by an empire like the Austria-Hungary Empire. Serbia to have access to the sea. Also, Serbia have the access to the sea to go travel. Also, self-determination for the people in Turkish Empire. Also, in the people in the Turkish Empire, they should to have a self-determination. Poland to become an independent state with access to the sea. Also, Poland should to take their own country and rule it as what they want, and to be access with the sea, they can see. Also, League of Nations to be set up. League of Nations should be set up. It is so important. Fact 5, the Paris Peace Conference. The conference took place in Paris of Versailles, a short distance from Paris. So the Palace of Versailles is in short distance from Paris. It lasted for 12 months. It lasted for 1 year. 32 nations were represented, but no one from the defeated country was invited. 32 nations they were, but the defeated country was not invited to this nation to present themselves. 5 treaties were drawn up at the conference. The main one was the Treaty of Versailles, which was dealt with Germany. The other treaty dealt with Germany, as see fact 5, page 19. We will go one by one because we are in the page 7. This is page 19. One by one, we will go and see it because we will discuss the whole of the lesson. All other important decisions of the fate of Germany were taken by the Simon. What he is the Prime Minister of France, Lord George, the Prime Minister of Britain, Wilson, the President of the USA, who together were known as the Big Three. The Big Three what were supported by a huge army of diplomats, expert advisors who advised them to make this or not this. But the Big Three often ignore their advice. They also ignore their advice. Let us go here. Wilson, country America, attitude toward Germany, his attitude was to not treat harshly some also, and also he believed in himself that they should to be punished. Let us go now back here. Also, the Prime Minister of France also think that they should deal it with Germany. Also, the same thing with Lord George. Now, about this 8, and this also, I think that we will have it in the second discussion that we'll discuss it about these 2 lessons. Maybe we'll answer it or maybe we'll not. But in the same thing, we will discuss all of that and all of these because it is so important. Page 22, there will be starting a new lesson. But you see this all, so you can see it and see what we'll discuss about. I think that it is some important things, so important thing. We will read everything, source 15, 16, 18, everything will be read. We will read it. Then this is the chapter summary. Then we will finish this chapter 21. Then we will start a new chapter. To what extent was the League of Nations a success? So for now, I want to say to you goodbye, and I hope that you will not forget to put the subscribe button and also the like, and put a nice comment, please. For now, goodbye. Also, I hope that you know the syllabus that we will go according it. We will consider it when we will discuss. Everything will be in a straight thing. Let us say for now, goodbye.